This video will provide an overview of MantisNet's Containerized Visibility Fabric, or CVF for short. This will be a very high-level overview that just introduces the solution, points out some of its key components, and also explains where it fits in the marketplace. So to start things off, I'd like to just discuss what the CVF is as a solution. So the CVF is a cloud-native application that is meant for providing visibility into any containerized environment, whether these environments are roll your own Docker implementations within a lab, fully orchestrated Kubernetes production environments, or looking at hyperscaler environments provided by the likes of AWS. The MantisNet CVF can be used across all of those examples. Now, what I'd like to do now is just provide a very quick look at the key components of the solution. So if you take a look at the diagram on the left-hand side of the screen, we'll start out with the network sensors themselves, or network agents as we call them. So those network agents are the MantisNet green circles that are transfixed upon that 5G diagram we have drawn on the screen. And these sensors are the key touch point, if you will, to access data. So where they're sitting, anywhere from the core to the edge, they will go ahead and access data and be able to send different data sets down into the message bus that you see below it. And I will touch on that in more detail coming up here momentarily. Then if we look over to the far left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a gray MantisNet circle that is labeled controller. So the controller is responsible for managing those agents over time. Since those agents do not take a set and forget mentality, they're put in place, but they can be fine-tuned over time to pull different data sets out. The controller serves as the key touch point in order to make those changes. The final piece I'd like to discuss is the message bus there in the middle of the screen. So the message bus is definitely a good demarcation point in terms of what MantisNet does as a company. So we really focus on accessing information, processing information within the network, within those container environments, and then pushing it down to the message bus to be consumed by analytics. So the message bus is definitely the demarcation point, and it also allows us to integrate with a variety of solutions, whether it's for monitoring purposes or security purposes. The next topic I'd like to discuss is really the technology driving this solution, and that's Ebpf. So we've really built this up from the ground up with Ebpf so that we can tie in from a node relationship into container environments. So this is not a sidecar container approach. These MantisNet agents will be sitting on nodes, and the nodes are either bare metal machines or virtual machines within a broader cloud context. However, just think kernel. So once those agents are resident on each node, they have the ability to provide visibility across all containers that are resident within that node. So really building things up from the ground floor from a Linux point of view. This is very advantageous because you can sit in a variety of different environments, and it also allows us to take a vendor agnostic approach. So we're not requiring any code changes to be made to the nodes that we're sitting on. And this is very valuable if you think about particular industries such as 5G, where you may have many vendors within the core, many other vendors within the MEC, and then even more vendors out in the ORAN. So MantisNet can be used in this environment to provide a holistic viewpoint across all of these vendors and in all areas of the network. Finally, the last topic I'd like to discuss about the MantisNet CVF is how we're embracing pushing complexity to the edge. And what I mean in specific in regards of pushing complexity, it's pushing processing complexity to the edge. So if you look at the visibility market as a whole, there are other solutions for gaining visibility into containerized environments. But where we really differ from these other options, if you will, is what we do once we put agents in place. So yes, we have that in common. There's no other way to gain visibility into container traffic unless you're deploying agents on nodes. So we have that in common with these other solutions, but where we differ is what happens from that point forward. So we've seen a lot of solutions in the marketplace that are using those agents as, think of it as a container tap, where you put the agent in place and then move all of the traffic from location, wholesale move that data to another location, be it a virtual packet broker of sorts within the cloud, or even outside of the cloud onto an appliance to do further processing, and then hand the information off to the analytics. What MantisNet is doing is we're pushing the complexity of all that processing complexity out to the agents themselves, so we do not need to move the data to another location to actually process it. So all of these agents, resident where they're sitting, have the ability to perform some processing functions to look at different types of data sets that can be pushed down into the queue. For example, these agents, once again, just to reiterate, they can sit anywhere from the core to the edge, and they absolutely have the ability to grab raw packet traffic, right? That's table stakes for any visibility or observability solution today. However, because we built in that additional processing complexity into the agents and we pushed all that complexity to the edge, we're able to start looking at different data sets that we can send directly from where the agents are sitting, where the production data is being generated and has the most value. So some examples of this would be looking at flow metadata or cloud native flow metadata, which is more centered around services and processes, the types of things that have more staying power in cloud environments than looking at an IP-based flow view of the world. The next would be looking at topology metadata, being able to track the moving environment over time, having a good understanding of what's happening and what is really underneath the covers, if you will, that the applications are running on. Then moving on to protocol metadata in the world of 5G, being able to break down protocols such as eCPRI, PFCP, the SPI stack as a whole. This is all applies to what these agents can do from directly where they're sitting. And then finally looking at encrypted session metadata, how these agents can handle TLS 1.3 encrypted traffic, as we're seeing that become very prominent within 5G environments being pushed by 3GPP specs. And that concludes this high-level overview of the MantisNet CVF. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about our solution. Please feel free to head back to the site. We will be posting more videos regarding the different data sets we can pull out, as well as providing updates on our efforts to provide vendor-agnostic visibility for 5G environments. Thank you.